have the pleasure and the privilege of introducing one of my hypnotherapy mentors and instructors, Mary Lee LeBay. So Mary Lee instructs script-free hypnotherapy, past life regression, and spiritual exploration courses, and has authored 6 books, including her most recent, Mastering Hypnotherapy, Transformational Strategies for Healers and Coaches, and Exploring Past Lives, Your Soul's Quest for Consciousness. Mary Lee is a clinical hypnotherapist holding a doctorate in behavioral psychology and certifications in NLP, Reiki, Gestalt, EFT, remote viewing, spiritual counseling, and applied kinesiology. She is best known for her advanced work in past lives and spirituality. So please welcome Mary Lee LeBay to the stage. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, go for it. Usable. Yes. Okay.
Have to
Thank
stay
you.
well hydrated. You are so welcome.
Okay. I don't know. Here's the books.
Okay, wonderful. Yes, I'll set them right over here. Yes, and as soon as Mary Lee's finished speaking, we're going to give away a couple of her books.
Put this off. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, and thank you for still being here throughout the whole day. And this is normally my nap time, so 3 o'clock nap. So I'll try to stay awake. Hopefully all of you will be awake through this, right? I have a,
Yes, you
do you want to do it?
Just say something for a few minutes.
Just chit-chat. I made a PowerPoint. I thought people
Yeah,
needed using it.
absolutely.
But mostly, then you don't have to look at my face, so you can look at some artwork.
Just keep talking.
But I'll just start. So I have a client named Jane, not her real name, of course. So we'll call her Jane. So she has a big, bold personality and a can-do attitude. Her presenting issues include a string of health challenges that require that what she claims is 60 hours of medical treatments a week. I mean, injections, like all sorts of things. So when I first started working with her, it was really a bundle of challenge, right? So anyway, she's an overachiever and is hypervigilant and hyper-analytical. Jane takes it upon herself to prop up the other people around her, feeling it's her duty simply because she can conjure superhuman capabilities. She feels she needs to prove that she isn't a bad person and sacrifices her well-being even when she hates it. The end result has been she attracts people who consistently want to take from her. This has left her depleted, angry, frustrated, and reactive. The slightest irritant quickly turns into the firestorm of the day after day. Endless cortisol, overeating, and exhaustion. She can't get on top of her own health concerns and has no time in a given day to devote to things that make her happy and speak to her soul. Our sessions have consisted of putting out the fires of the day. And this particular client has come to see me. A few years ago, she came for 26 sessions, and we did it almost every day. So like, her issues have been so intense. Now she's working with me for another 26 sessions, and we're about 5 into it. But again, it's 2-3 times a week.
Yeah.
Luckily, she is an amazing recipient, because whatever happens, she puts it into action right away. So, you know, we're not always blessed with such clients, but this one is one. Anyway, so we put out the fires every day. Every little thing is a trauma with the expectation that everything to come will also be a trauma. So you can see her mindset that, you know, if I'm gonna drive home tonight, oh, there's gonna be traffic and I'm gonna be pissed, and, you know, so she sets herself up quite a bit. Luckily, she responds quickly to hypnotherapy, and I've given her many tools tools to practice between sessions. She's seen remarkable progress in her reactions and has created better boundaries. In yesterday's session, she said, if I'm not sacrificing myself for the sake of others, I don't know what my purpose is. She nailed it, right there. So I had a different case that I was going to talk to you about today, and when she said that, it was like, okay, you are going to be my subject here. I knew this story had to be about her. So she realized instantly that this dysfunctional behavior she picked up as a child gave her a sense of self-esteem and purpose. She thought sacrificing herself was her purpose. I have found in my decades in practice that the lack of purpose is an underlying cause of most issues that land in my office. Is somebody turning this thing? Oh, there you go. Okay, lack of purpose. So when we have a lack of purpose, it contributes to procrastination, indecision, excessive eating or drinking, smoking, lack of motivation, feeling lost, directionless, anxiety, stress, overwhelm, lack of boundaries, unhealthy relationships, and much more. Anybody here work with people that deal with those things? Right? Does that pretty much cover it? Let's explore purpose. Lydia, are you in charge? We'll do one more. Okay. So purpose. So one of the things that I like to do is look up words in an etymology dictionary, right? Because then we can start using the language the way that it was created to be. So purpose, the per means toward, and the pose is to take a stance. So purpose itself is how this lovely creature is actually taking a stance and aiming. Okay? So purpose indicates the direction of our stance, the goal or the target. So she's taking the stance, but then the purpose is what she's aiming at. It is the direction we are facing. Purpose is something we can do no matter what the circumstances, whether alive or dead, alone on an island or in a crowded room. So that is always consistent. In Jane's case, she hasn't stopped long enough to figure out her direction. So all of her actions and efforts are really just flailing around and getting her nowhere. In fact, they are dragging her further away from herself through the chaos and dysfunction. She's exhausted at the end of every day, and so it just, snowballs into anger and being tired and extreme health problems. And she's starting to realize that her health problems all come down to this. So when she figures it out, she will be able to aim all of her actions and energy in the direction and get traction in her life. A purpose is the why behind our actions and function. Good. Function. Okay, so function, it's what we do. So it's the role we play within that purpose. That's how we function. So in other words, being a hypnotherapist is not a purpose. It is a function, right? It's what we do, yet each of us may have a different purpose for why we do it, okay? So we each have that individual target, but we all have that arrow in our hand using hypnotherapy to get there. But our targets may be in different places. So, okay. Perhaps your reason for being a hypnotherapist is to advance society, perpetuate consciousness, maintain a healthy planet, ease pain and suffering, or a number of other reasons. Once the target is known, we can more clearly determine how we will take action. And action is the arrow, right? So we can aim at our purpose through healing, helping, teaching, protesting, expanding technology so we can reach another planet. These are all functions based on a person's purpose and values. The function may change from lifetime to lifetime depending on the culture and available resources. Okay, so what we do here is hypnotherapy in the 21st century, but we may have been doing similar work as a shaman in the Middle Ages, or different roles that we would have played. Nurses, doctors, whatever, depending on what that purpose was. But the hope is that we will continue to face our target and aim at our purpose throughout every incarnation. So when we align with our purpose, we generate energy and focus, which provides motivation and drive. We are less worried about the little things and less likely to have time for mindlessly overindulging in food and drink, right? So we get motivation and we have something to do with ourselves. So how do we discover our purpose? So first we have to explore our identity, and then we strive for authenticity. So authentic, if you look it up in etymology online, is my go-to resource. Auto means to do or be. Yeah, how we are, just to be. And gentes comes from a root meaning yourself. So you do you, right? So now you know that means authentic. So to do or be yourself, or be genuine. So when we know ourselves, we know our values, have better boundaries, and make better choices. Jane said when she practiced aligning, and this was part of yesterday's work I did, so Jane said when she practiced aligning with her authenticity, maintained boundaries with a friend, and didn't put their needs ahead of her own, she was left with an uncomfortable, empty space. She felt good about what she did, had no guilt, which is another thing she loves to do to herself, but she had no guilt about it, she felt good, but didn't know what to do with herself after that. She recognized the inner contradiction between her authentic self and her coping behaviors. For the moment, I've asked her to sit in the discomfort each time that happens. Don't fill in the space with more action. It's okay to just sit and allow any new ideas and learning to float to the surface, to just sit there. And how do we discover our authentic self? Past life regression. Was anybody surprised that I was going to talk about past lives? Yeah, right? Yeah. Which topic is Mary Lee going to talk about? Past lives, right? How is she going to approach it today? All right, so past lives. So Jane's purpose is still a mystery. We haven't gotten that far. We've had, we're putting out all these fires, so we've had to peel back layers. She shows up to her sessions hysterical every time. Hi, how are you doing today? And it's, explosions. But now she's learning to calm down. So she's coming to the phone call, the Zoom call, and actually says, how are you doing today? Which was like the first time ever. Because it was like, me saying, hi, how are you doing? This happened, right? And it's all just explosions. So we've been doing that so far, but yesterday's session, it all became clear to her, this whole thing about purpose, that if she doesn't have a different purpose, she's going to go into those old behaviors. So we have teed up past life regret. Well, yes, so, all right, so we've teed up the concept of purpose, that it will be the focus of our work moving forward. We will need to explore several lifetimes so that we can piece together her more authentic character and gather clues to her purpose. So one of the things that happened, we've been doing past lives along the way here, but because her mind has been, you know, in this survival mode, this hysteria practically, you know, and with all the pain in her body and emotional turmoil, the lifetimes that she's gone back to have only mirrored why she is like that, right? So those have mirrored her present condition. So what we'll do is we'll program her mind now to focus on lifetimes where she's been fulfilling her purpose. And an interesting part of this case is the lifetimes we did go to, the ones that are most recent and fresh in my mind, there were 3, and in each case there was isolation and no purpose at all. Just isolate and do nothing, right? So that has kind of surfaced up as well. So there's a lot of space there that needs to be filled with purpose and then function, you know, purposeful action. So we will be exploring several lifetimes, really focused on finding that purpose now. And we have to look at multiple lifetimes when we do this. It's not like, oh, I'm going to go to a lifetime and I see myself as a doctor, you know, or a healer of some sort, and then I think I know everything about myself. To really find that authenticity, we need to go to life after life after life and look at both the negative parts of us and the positive. All right, we always just want to go and see how really loving and nice and cool we were. And, you know, that typically doesn't happen. Or it's not useful. It's not entirely useful. It is useful, but we also want to look at the times when we've really messed up and when we've had struggles and made bad mistakes. Because then we look at that and go, how am I doing that myself? What, you know, those lifetimes are showing us, you know, character is what you are in the dark, right? So I can go around saying, you know, I'm just a lovely, wonderful, nice person, but don't get me as a driver in traffic, right? My formative driving years were in Puerto Rico, so, you know, we had the hand on the horn and slapping the top and screaming at people, you know, so some habits die slowly. But we have to look at all of that to see, you know, what triggers this person, what inspires them, and then through all of that, what function have they had in those lifetimes, right? And how does that continue to give us details about what that purpose would be? So what I thought we would do, yeah, that's no, back. Thank you. You're so good at this, though. I want to go to this. Yeah, I know. It's just like, okay. So what I thought we'd do is all experience a past life. Yes? Yeah. Anybody not want to? You can leave the room now. Let's explore a past life, and yeah, let's just have that experience. And so we're going to be aiming at, you know, a lifetime that will show you about your character, or show you about how you have functioned towards a purpose in another lifetime, okay? So yeah, just get yourself relaxed, let go of your pens and papers and all of that. And take a deep breath and close your eyes. And imagine a ball of light at your feet, glistening and shining and radiating. And as that ball of light begins to move up along your body, it gathers up the perceptions and the sensations, leaving behind a completely relaxed body. As it moves up along your legs and your lap, across your torso, balancing your energy, moving up across your throat, opening that channel of creativity and expression, And right on up into the center of your forehead, into the area of the third eye. And that ball of light energizing your third eye, expanding it, and allowing the energy to flow through between your third eye and your subconscious mind, connecting the conscious with the subconscious that holds those memories of other lifetimes. And I would like to ask the subconscious mind to prepare a lifetime for each of you that will be so valuable at this time in your life to show you more about your authenticity and your purpose. And so as you continue to relax deeper and deeper, I invite you to imagine being in your favorite safe space, that place of relaxation, protection, and connection. And as you find yourself there, now explore with the curiosity of a child, noticing what is there and how it feels to be there. And as you relax into that safe space, you look around and you discover that there is a gift that has been left there for you, an object brought to you by the universe that will bring you certain energy and characteristics that will be so valuable for you on this journey. And as you discover this gift, take it in your hands and notice what it is. The texture, the size, the weight of it. And then notice how it impacts you. What is the energy? How do you feel it? Or how does it make you feel? And if you could use this item like a Harry Potter magical tool, how would you use this in your life, your everyday life? And now finding a place to begin a meditation there in your safe space. And you settle in and you go deeper and deeper, as deeply as you would enjoy going today. And as you go deeper and deeper into trance, you begin to imagine a hallway stretching out in front of you. And that hallway can look like anything you choose. And as you begin to move down along that hall, you notice that there are doorways, each one leading to a past life, memories, experiences that will be so valuable for you in understanding that past life. And as I count from 3 to 1, finding yourself in front of one of those doors, 3, 2, 1. And just notice what this door looks like and how you feel standing in front of it. And this door opens and you step through. And notice whether you go indoors or outdoors. And if you're not really sure, it just doesn't matter. Pick one. The first thing that comes to mind. And you begin to explore with the curiosity of a child, noticing what is there. And what else do you notice about this space? And how do you feel being there? time passes, and what has been happening? And as you become more accustomed to being there, do you feel like you are male or female in that location, in that time and space? And about how old do you feel? And some more time passes, and what is happening next? And when it's time to go to sleep, where do you sleep that night? And do you sleep with someone else or with others, or are you alone? And when you get up the next day, what do you set out to do? And what do you notice about that? And more time passes. And what has been happening that day? And moving ahead in time now to the next notable experience. And what is happening? And then what do you notice? And moving ahead to the next notable experience there. And what is happening now? And what is your occupation in that lifetime? What is it you do? And how do you feel about that, about your occupation? And do you have hobbies or passions that you enjoy? As I count from 3 to 1, you'll know where in the world this lifetime takes place. 3, 2, 1. And as I count from 3 to 1, you'll know the approximate year. 3, 2, 1. And moving ahead in time to the next notable experience, what do you notice next? And do you recognize anybody in that lifetime that you know in this lifetime? And looking back over that life, what do you notice about how you have functioned in that society? What role have you played? And what lessons do you notice that you faced there in that lifetime? And what have you learned about yourself? Maybe something new. And how will you integrate this experience into who you are now? And so remembering all that you've experienced in this session and allowing the subconscious mind to continue to bring you insight, wisdom, and understanding in the days and weeks to come, as I count from 1 to 5, returning here to the present momentary, fresh, alert, and aware. 1, 2, 3, coming up. 4, aware of this time and space. And 5, fully alert and aware, and return here to the present moment. Did everybody get a good nap? Yep. So, does anybody have anything to share? Just like briefly.
Question.
Yes.
I've always been interested in this part of hypnosis.
Yeah.
Always. I've never, this is the first time I've ever even dabbled kind of for this purpose. What if, so, I'll be honest, you know, when you started the whole thing, like that perfect little place, there I was, little boy at the barn, you know, and then when you said we started to explore black.
Okay.
Every door I went, black.
In the hallway, it was black? Okay.
Does that mean that I'm just fresh?
So,
Brand new soul.
yeah, right? No. So usually, you know, here I assume everybody's a hypnotherapist and they know how to go into trance and bypass the critical factors and all of that, right? So I didn't do my spiel that I would do in public, but everything just turns black. A lot of the time, it is because, all of a sudden it's like, I have to know something and it has to be right, so there's that, and so if I don't get something that I can latch on to, and with past lives, you can't latch on to anything because there's no family album, nobody told you about the story, so you really just have to trust, right? So, but the other thing, and I should have probably said this, let's say it's just all black, there are people who are born blind. I've had clients where their opening scene, they're in a completely pitch black dungeon, or a dark room, or they're hiding. I had one person who was a child and he was hiding in a closet because he was terrified of his father coming home. So even when it's blackness, then, just for future reference, try to feel or sense, is it enclosed or expansive?
It didn't feel dangerous. I mean, I felt safe.
There you go.
It was just like, I mean, I had a sexton, and a sexton actually came up as, you said what was there.
Uh-huh.
That was not a problem, and I thought, well, this is gonna be interesting, and I'm like, whoa, what's that?
So did you go ahead and have a memory even though the hallway was black?
No, I didn't. Like I said, it got a tool. I got the sexton when you said, there's something there, but when I got to the doors, no, every time I kept just kind of letting it just be what it was, and I just felt comfortable.
Okay. You do you.
Okay. Yeah,
So I do want to say that doing it in a group, especially the first time, is harder. That's the hardest way to get started, right? So doing a private session, in a private session, you would be responding to me. Everything, you'd be describing your safe space, you'd be describing your gift, and you would tell me, oh, it's all black, and I could deal with that. I would help guide you around that. Another way to do it when you're doing past lives is to have the person, I don't know if I do this, but I don't know if other people do, that you spontaneously say, oh, I think I was a cowgirl in the Wild West, and it was, in Arizona, and it's just a flippant remark. But then you go, okay, well, if I was, let me just go see if I can find some memories, right? So even with my clients, I had a client years and years ago, man, engineer, really dangerous combination, right, for past lives. But he was a good guy. So he couldn't get into the past life. So I said, well, what do you think, did you ever have an inclination? And he said, I always thought I was a cowboy in the Wild West. And so I said, okay, just close your eyes, tell me the story. And so he gets himself on the horse and he's riding along, and he comes on this broken down wagon and some skeletons, and trunks are all kind of disheveled. And he gets down, and then he starts walking around, and he looks down and he goes, I'm wearing white man pants. And I said, well, what do you mean? What's white man pants? And then he looks at his arm and he goes, I'm an Indian. I'm not the cowboy, I'm an Indian. And so that's where we know, okay, we've gone from making up a story that you expect to now here's the memory coming to you. So that's just another device we can use to help clients get into past lives, is just make up a story, and it'll start to develop.
I really like what you do. Very cool.
I like what I do, so thank you. We're on the same page. Yes, back there.
Oh, I just had a question, with the advent of AI, artificial intelligence, people are generating emails and everything. And with this strategy, how do you know if it's just a memory people, a story people make up based on their experience, or if it's a past life, and is that an important distinction?
It's not vital. I've had clients who go into past lives and they say they don't believe in them, and that's fine. We can use it as a metaphor because it's always useful. But the way to distinguish it is there is a difference in the feeling, right? Just like if you were talking about a dream feels different than standing here talking, right? There's a different feeling. And sometimes it'll take a few, you'll have to do past life a few times, even as a disbeliever, like, oh, I think I'm making this up. And then suddenly it'll just kind of click in. It's like, oh, this is making too much sense. What we're also looking for are emotions. Like, a person's making up a story, but suddenly they're crying or they're outraged or something. The other one is surprise element. So the surprise element in the example that I gave you was he thought he was a cowboy and he was going to tell me this story, and then he realized he was an Indian, and he was shocked, to find that out. Now, in some lifetime, he could have been a cowboy as well, but he happened to go to the Indian lifetime. So surprise, emotions, and then just getting used to it is another one. I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years, past lives on myself, and I still, when I see a past life, I'm still like, okay, is this really factual? And we have to let go of it being true, right? Or accurate. So it could be true, but it's not accurate. So the same thing is, you talk to your siblings at Thanksgiving and they're going, oh, remember when we were 7 years old, we were doing this, and you're like, no, I saw it completely different. Or remember when Dad was so outraged and, no, he wasn't really, right? And so we're all coming at our experience from a different perspective, and it's how, it might have been Jack, somebody ahead of me, talked about how we take it in, through our bias and our experience, and we take in that event, and then we think, well, this is what happened, but it might not have been what happened. Oh, this person, we were friends, now they hate me. And then years later you talk to them and they're like, I never hated you. That wasn't true. So, you know what I mean? So sometimes it's, we have to let go of it being absolutely perfectly accurate. And what we're looking for, especially the first time through, are the bones. We're looking for the structure of that lifetime, our purpose, things about our character, that sort of thing. And then you go back through that lifetime and you keep remembering and you journal about it, and tons more information will start coming out because we've cracked that memory open, and pretty soon the flood will happen. Yes?
When I was in Scotland, I didn't want to come back to the States.
Oh, God, I know. Yes.
Because I have Irish genes and I have Scottish genes. But the ruggedness of Scotland, the evergreen trees, the rocks,
Yeah.
everything about it, I felt like I belonged there.
Yeah.
And then I came to Seattle.
Yeah.
And I never wanted to come to the Northwest ever.
Huh.
Well, not Northwest. I didn't want to come to the West Coast
Okay.
because I used to think people were fake.
Oh, okay.
Perceptions, right?
Yeah, right.
I came to visit friends out here, and I felt like I was home again.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're going to feel home in a million places because we've had infinite numbers of lifetimes. I mean, I've recalled, Africa, Egypt, the Middle East, Asia, also, all over Asia, all over the United States, different centuries, different experiences. You're going to remember, and then you'll be in that place, and, oftentimes it's the air that keys you back into that past life, the angle of the sun in that location and the smell or the feel of the air will really help. But I've guided people on past life excursions through Italy, England, Ireland, Peru. We went to Southeast Asia, yeah. So But we'll have that familiarity, but Scotland is precious, yes. So-
That's
And
what-
Ireland.
It's called deja vu.
Yeah,
So,
could be.
you know,
It's the,
to me, I had another experience.
yeah, that connection. Yes, Anna?
So I had a story actually. So I was some kind of a priestess, and I was in the temple, and I was for palm periods, like people all around me, and I would stand and I would channel spirits, and then there was something, some enemies came and destroyed everything, and I had to escape. And after some adventures, like a lot of adventures,
Right.
I started living a normal life. I decided that I will hide the fact that I have any special power.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Mhm.
at home, taking care of children, and not tell people
Mhm.
that I had this past.
Yeah.
So
Retreat to safety. Yeah, a lot of us do that. And that's why it's good to look at the positive and the negative experiences that we've had, right? To understand, to understand why we're reacting the way we are now, or acting and reacting, and the things that speak to our souls. Did everybody get an empowerment symbol, the gift in the beginning? Was that fun? Okay, that's yours to keep, my gift to you.
Guys, we have something very special for you, which is a Lifetime Achievement Award for the advancement of hypnotherapy, past life regression, tarot and astrology, writing and teaching, and service on the NGH-WA board. So,
Yay.
thank you for everything you've done. We appreciate you so much and everything that you have shared with us. And like you said, so many of us have taken your training and just really absolutely love you and your work.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
we
you,
love you
thank you.
so
Oh,
much.
this is precious. I really appreciate it. Thank you
Yeah.
to everybody
Appreciate
involved.
you.